welcome to the Wildcat family, whether you're a new or returning family to campus this year. My name is Catherine Smith, and I'm the newly elected president of the PTA. I'm very fortunate to have a wonderful group of people to work alongside, and I can only hope that I can fill even a part of the shoes of my mighty mentor and past president, Diana Hetzel. By now, your students have settled into their new routine, whether they're at home, e-learning, on campus, or some version of combination of both of them. They're bound to experience a lot of uncertainty, a lot of ambiguity, a lot of stress. And to that end, we've asked our own certified mental health counselor, Hannah Smith from West Shore, to help us learn how to help our students manage their stress a little bit better. We all know that sleeping well, eating well, getting enough exercise helps with stress reduction, but Ms. Smith is hoping to delve a little deeper into that topic tonight, so hopefully you can come away with some very useful information to help you navigate these uncharted waters. You could also look forward to a survey from the PTA at some point in the near future regarding topics of interest that might be something you'd like to hear at PTA meetings going forward, as we try to keep the PTA topics relevant to the things that concern you, our parents. If you want to reach the PTA, you can reach us by the tab on the West Shore homepage, or you can write to us at westshorepta@gmail.com, or you can find us on various social medias, and our managers of those areas do a great job of getting back to you in such a quick time. So reach out to us if you have any questions, concerns, or anything like that. Also, on a separate note, I do urge you to join the PTA if you haven't done so already. Thank you to those who have already joined, but a big request to join the PTA if you haven't already. Our fundraising efforts have been thwarted with the pandemic situation, and so we're counting on you to help us to continue to provide monies and programs to our students, our faculty, our school staff, in the manner to which they're accustomed from the PTA. So one final word before I sign off. As you navigate through these uncharted and difficult times, and you encounter a great deal of stress doing so, remember the words of the great Henry Ford, who said, "When everything seems to be going against you, remember that the airplane takes off against the wind instead of with it." And also, if you see me on campus, you might see me in this pink mask. So if you see anybody wearing a mask who looks sort of like me, say hello, wave to me, flag me down, tell me who you are, because we're all in this together. So have a great night, West Shore. Stay well and stay strong. Thanks for joining us.
Good evening, Wildcat families and parents. This is Mr. Fleming, and this is a very unique situation. Normally, I would be in front of you in our auditorium. However, given the COVID-19 and some of the restrictions, I am obviously unable to stand before you and give a presentation. At the beginning of every school year, I usually do a half-hour presentation or so about our school performance from the prior year, and or goals and objectives for the upcoming school year. Naturally, in this COVID environment, I'm having to do it through a YouTube link and give information to our parents as best I can through this venue. Naturally, it's not ideal, but it's certainly the world we live in. So I want to welcome everybody to what has been a very unique start to the school year. Here we are, the end of September already. Seems like it's November or October, because we haven't yet had time to really digest or even take a break over the summer. I know parents were also dealing with a number of issues adjusting to e-learning since March of last year. we were able to refine that process for this year into what we call synchronized learning, where your student, if they are at home, they can either Zoom in or Google into the classroom live and get live instruction concurrently with those students who are in person on campus. So I know it's been a challenge. It's been tough on everybody. Hats off to our teachers and to you and your students for managing that process as well as can be expected in the given environment. I first want to begin my meeting by congratulating you. I recently received word from the U.S. News and World Reports that West Shore was ranked number 4 in the state of Florida out of several thousand high schools. We were also ranked number 53rd in the nation as it relates to high schools, and out of 28,000 public high schools. So to be number 53rd is certainly a feather in our cap. And there are over 28,000 high schools in the nation. So congratulations to West Shore. And that barometer with which to measure those rankings are different from periodical to periodical. U.S. News and World Reports uses our AP performance and our AP enrollments with which to calculate that. And as you know, our AP advanced placement courses, students do earn college credit. So congratulations to our school community for that. For those of you that are underclassmen in middle school and starting in 9th grade, we do have some AP courses for our 9th graders, but we have very good scaffolding with which to prepare our students for success on those advanced placement exams. So we've had a 75% pass rate, 3 or above, if you look at all of our courses. Some, of course, are much higher, and some still are challenges with work to be done, but we are proud of that honor for so many kids earning college credit through our school. I'd like to also give a shout out to all of our new Wildcat staff members. In my 15 years as principal here at West Shore, I don't think I've ever had the opportunity to hire more than 2 or 3 teachers in a year. Due to COVID, we had some early retirements, but it's allowed us to refresh and regroup and recalibrate and get some new blood on campus. So in our social studies department, we added Miss Caitlin Hoskins and Mr. Jeffrey Bramlett. Both of them have teaching experience, one in the Clark County, Nevada school system and the other in Alachua County. So we are happy to bring their knowledge and expertise to our social studies department. Also very pleased to announce we were able to bring Tom O'Brien, who was a Brevard virtual teacher, and he is now teaching our English language, AP English language and composition, as well as English 2. So Mr. O'Brien brings a wealth of experience and knowledge, and we're also happy that he is doubling as our thespian director this year. So he's got his hands full, and he's doing a great job. The students, his instruction has been very well received. Also, in our math department, we brought Mr. Thomas, retired. Interestingly enough, Mr. Thomas was a West Point graduate, and we were able to replace him with another West Point graduate, Mr. Patrick Pittenger, who is teaching algebra and algebra 2 on our campus. And he, again, a veteran teacher coming to us from Central Middle School. But we're happy to have him, and our students have already gravitated to his instruction very well. Also, we have Miss Alexandra Stewart. She is our department chair, or our curriculum resource specialist for world language, and she is teaching our upper level Spanish classes, and we stole her from Palm Bay High. She was the department head over there. So we're happy to have, once again, her knowledge and expertise on our campus, and she has been very well received also. And if you did not know, Miss Terry Friend, who was our tech specialist here at West Shore for the past 20 years, even before I got here, she retired this past year, and we got Mr. Tony Albert, and we stole him from Madison Middle School. So he brings knowledge and expertise as well. He's already been working very hard on our inventory as well as our replenishment program as we work to achieve a 1-to-1 ratio for our students on campus with devices. Many of our classes are equipped with mobile laptop labs, but he is on a mission to make sure we can try to get 1-to-1, which is a lofty goal, but hopefully we can get there. I don't have any real data to share with you from last year. Most of it would be from a qualitative sense. As you may well know, FSA and EOCs were basically eliminated because we did not return to school after that Friday before spring break in March of last year. So we know our students traditionally perform very well on those assessments. As a matter of fact, that's how we earn many of our state rankings, and that's how we earn many of our accolades in the West Shore earning an A grade for the past 15 years from the state accountability program. So unfortunately, I don't have any data, but what I always like to do is share some information about last year's graduating class. Those of you that have seniors this year and those of you that have students that are gravitating through grade levels, this is what I like to call the finished product of West Shore. And I'm very happy to report some of these statistics to you this afternoon. First of all, we had 141 graduates last year. 139 of these students earned and completed accelerated graduation requirements to include their senior project, and they earned the coveted West Shore Diploma of Distinction. West Shore Diploma of Distinction is very unique to West Shore, and it is based on additional more accelerated graduation requirements to include also a senior project. So they 139 out of 141 of our students completed that, so we're very proud of them. We had 6 National Merit finalists and 11 National Merit commended students in the class of 2020. These titles representative of being in the top 16,000 out of 1.5 million students nationwide and across the world. So that's a pretty lofty statistic. Very proud of those students. 21 of our graduates were valedictorians at a perfect 4.0. And ladies and gentlemen, their schedules were reflective of some very difficult content. 2 of our seniors earned a perfect 36 on their ACT, and 2 others earned full military academy appointments. One at the Coast Guard Academy and one at the Merchant Marine Academy. So congratulations to those students. 126 of our students were honored graduates, having earned a 3.5 unweighted GPA or better throughout their entire career. 125 of these 141 students earned Florida Bright Future scholarships, with 75 of those earning 100% tuition academic scholar designation at a price tag of $27,652. And 50 of these students also earned the 75% medallion scholarship designation at a price tag of $20,738. So congratulations. I know these statistics mean a lot, but it more so means money in your pocket when our students perform so well and they earn bright futures. Regarding college level work for this class last year, 76 of these students were advanced placement diploma candidates, having taken and passed a minimum of 6 advanced placement courses in at least 3 different subject areas while they were here at West Shore. And in addition to earning passing scores on the associated exams for these courses, 60 of them were AP Capstone Diploma candidates, having successfully completed the AP Capstone Seminar and Research courses, along with at least 4 other advanced placement courses of their choosing. So again, a very highly accelerated class and very highly motivated, and I'm very proud of the class of 2020. Even more amazing for the class of 2020 is that about 525 students had already passed the AP diploma designation prior to their senior year. So even as sophomores and juniors, they were loading up on those advanced placement courses. And many of them, again, 525, passed AP exams prior to their senior year. Most of our students that graduated last year completed 1 or more dual enrollment courses while at West Shore, and 8 of the entire class of 141 students attended EFSC full-time, earning their associate and arts degree concurrently with their high school diploma. I'm proud to report that the class of 2020 earned a total of $8,276,270. And that is pretty significant in terms of the amount of offerings that those students earn. Very, very proud of them. Again, those are just a few of the amazing statistics of our students from last year's graduating class. I know that your students this year are in a very unique situation with some e-learning, some at school, but I can tell you that the rigor and the college preparation and the building the aggressive competitive college admissions portfolio remains our primary focus, our paramount mission, and we will continue to do that. It is a bumpy road with regard to COVID in terms of some disconnect with things, but know that our guidance counselors, along with Mr. Drake, are readily available to assist you on any of your plans as your coursework, as students' coursework gets more difficult and complex as the grade levels progress. But know that the scaffolding is there. And if you have a middle school student, chances are they are already earning high school credit while they're taking those high school credit bearing classes while in middle school. And as they gravitate to the high school, they will be well prepared in their toolbox for those advanced placement courses. So again, I know it's been a challenging start. We are excited to have the school year underway. We are currently undergoing our class elections, albeit via Zoom, and students are campaigning through video in our closed circuit TV system, and we will have officers named shortly. And we're trying to carry on business as usual with school activities. Unfortunately, Homecoming, Spirit Week, some of the exciting things outside of the classroom our students have come accustomed to have been pushed back until spring. We're certainly hoping that COVID wanes and this situation is able to evolve to where we can have everybody back on campus and we can begin activities as we normally had. Naturally, with athletics and activities also having abbreviated seasons, I know that that is a challenge as well. I just want everybody to know that we are in this together. The Wildcat Nation is strong, and we will get through this together. As always, once again, I am excited and happy for the start of this school year. I am even more excited to be your school principal, and feel free to reach out to any of us should you have any questions. Thank you, and I appreciate you having me on this evening, and it's going to be a great year. I want to thank our PTA officers. I want to thank our PTA board. They are the catalyst in what drives a lot of connectivity between our parent community and our school. And there is mountains of research out there on how successful schools are able to function, and it is due to the parental involvement. And our PTA spearheads that effort every year. So if you've not done so already, I would encourage you to become a member of our PTA and get their listserv updates as well as any publications. So congratulations to our new president, Ms. Catherine Smith, and our returning officers. It's going to be a unique year, but it's going to be a great year. Have a wonderful year.
Hi everyone, my name is Hannah Smith. I am school counselor here at West Shore Junior Senior High School. I have last names H through R, so if your last name falls in that category, I am your student school counselor. I'm grateful to be here today to talk to you guys about some serious subjects regarding the mental health of students and ways that we can help support them through this time in their lives. So first of all, just a little disclaimer right here. These are all this research-based things that I have done, and also just professional opinions and education from myself. Okay, so why resilient? So I'm going to pull up my notes here so we can have it all together. Resilience refers to the ability to positively cope with extraneous variables in your life. So there are a few things that students may face that will rely on having these skills to survive. And many times that can look like traumatic events, twists and turns in life, failures, picking themselves up after a hard, life-altering event, or maybe even a serious illness in the family. how do we respond to that? And how are we to gauge if our student or your child is responding well to that? So we're going to kind of touch on a lot of that today. And as well as how to handle those emotions that will come with it. And I'm not trying to bore you, so I'm sorry. But it is going to be a lot of information. I do have a little printout for you guys, so if you guys were able to get the Building Resilience worksheet, little print handout thing here, this has a lot of good information, just stuff that kind of goes deeper into what we'll be talking about. Okay. So before we get into resilience, we have to understand, why do we even need this thing? Why do we need resilience? Resilience is the reaction to stress. So if you have any kind of stress in your life, you have to understand that nobody is immune from this, from negative effects. We're not superheroes. We're just people. So everybody has had an experience where they have been, very stressed out. And sometimes with students, as they get into, upper adolescence, they start experiencing these things, and they sometimes don't know how to handle it. And as their parents, it's good to recognize that in them, to help them, hey, this is what helps me, or this is what science says helps you. So let's just try it and see if it works. There's 6 main themes. So just if you have your paper, you can go ahead and look at the first one, called cognitive. So the 6 main things with stress. So cognitive is how events are interpreted by the individual, your cognitive style, your appraisal, your attributions, and how daily stressors and life circumstances are coped with. So that's all on the cognitive level. So what are you thinking about when you're stressed out? How is that affecting your life? As well as how are you reacting? That also goes into your behavioral, which is number 2. Behavioral is habits of persistence and endurance in face of obstacles and failures. So that's behavior practice and reinforcement. So an example would be you finding out some really bad news. Maybe you failed at work, or maybe your student failed a test. And then how is that reinforced? Is it, reinforced in a negative way of, oh, well, you're, too dumb to even do well on that? Or is it reinforced in a positive way of, hey, we all fail sometimes, and that's okay. It doesn't matter, how many times you fail. What matters is each time that you get up and you try again, and you get up and you do your best again, and you learn, okay, maybe I need to study more. Maybe I need to do some time management. Maybe I need to look at how, I am learning the material, and maybe I need to adjust something there. So really how that is going to affect the reinforcement of that behavior is really important to look at. All right, motivational. So motivational is one of my favorite ones because I love motivational interviewing. I love, getting kids excited about their education, excited about their future, because they have, their whole lives ahead of them. So motivational is a clear sense of life purpose and commitment, your will to live. That is, kind of a deeper subject there, which we'll touch on just a little bit. But your motivational, why are you doing this? Find your why. That even translates into your profession. Why are you doing this? What is that why that you started this path in your life? If you could hold on to that why, you could get through as much stress as you can, because you understand at the end of the day, I'm doing this because blah, blah, blah. And you can go to bed at night with this sense of purpose in your life. But that goes right into existential and spiritual. So that one is your sense of larger purpose and meaning of life. That is something that, if you're a spiritual person, if you go to church, you have that can call on a higher power there. That also can act as a stress kind of safeguard for you. Relational, so a sense of social connectedness, engagement. This is huge for teenagers. So they're at that age where they are going to be very how do I say this, socially excited. So they want to always be with their friends. They're trying to, kind of differentiate between, mom and dad. They're trying to figure out what their, beliefs are, and they want to be around, being more independent. And that's all normal behavior, which we'll cover a little bit later today. So that is very important to allow them that. And we're also going to go through ways of how does my preteen / teenager feel socially connected in the midst of a pandemic? Or else I'm going to touch on that as well. The last one is emotional. So emotional is the ability to tolerate negative emotions and rejection and to maintain emotional confidence and hopefulness. So that is emotional intelligence. Hey, I feel sad today. I feel frustrated. I feel happy. Being able to have a name for what they feel is huge and goes so far, because how frustrating is it when you are just, I don't know what's wrong with me, versus I'm just very angry right now and I'm mad at this and this and this. Being able to express that in either a verbal way or a positive outlet, huge. Make all the difference. Okay, so stress. So as a school counselor, there's 3 of us here. There's Mrs. Stroud, Mrs. Horst, and me. We're all here as, mental health professionals as well. We're, embedded into the school system. Our job is to keep everyone in this lovely little green area. This is where I like to see the students when they are, kind of okay, and I love to see them when they're in this yellow area, because that's like your optimum stress. There's 2 different kinds of stress. There's the eustress and there's distress. The eustress is positive sources of stress. So this could be anything from like someone's getting married, at an adult level, someone's getting married or someone's having kids. Those are positive sources of stress. Even for students, it would be applying to colleges. It would be passing a test. Those are all kind of the positive ones. Negative sources of stress would be I'm getting overwhelmed. You start getting into this orange area here. Then if you don't address it in the orange area, you get into the red area where you can be at risk for burnout. And that's when you've been kind of, what comes to my head is the hamster going around and around and around and around and not stopping. That's what comes to mind here. So you've been going and running and running and running and you haven't stopped, and so if you get to that level, and a lot of times I have seen this at West Shore, as well as other schools that I worked at, where, they've gone for so long and no one's been like, take a break. Like, you don't have to work during this hour. Like, let's just breathe here for a second, because a lot of times they do get in that mode of, I gotta do this, I gotta do that, I gotta do this, I gotta do that, I gotta blah, 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 blah. And it's like, just bring it down. Let's just calm down for a minute and let's reevaluate what we really need to do and what's really going to make the most sense. So that's all to avoid the burnout phase. Once you get to the burnout phase, it's very hard to get back into finding your why, into going through everything else that you need to do. So I really, really, really try to intervene if I start seeing like this the orange area with exhaustion and too much stress. And we'll go through symptoms as well, what you can possibly see, even in yourself or your student. Okay, if you look through your lovely handout, we're down here for the 6 main themes. This is resilience building. So now that we kind of have an idea of the good stress and the bad stress, 6 main things that we do have that we can rely on are social connections and engagement, self-awareness and self-care, attention and focus, discovering what your meaning is, which, can be very difficult for some people to even discover, especially a growing student, a growing adolescent who is going through that process and may be going through that process for a while. Let me make sure I have all my stuff here. Okay, so this one, okay, there we go. All right, so I have this little video and I'm hoping that it plays. So let's see if we can just, look into what the National Scientific Council on the Developing Child at Harvard University says about how resilience is built.
Key active core ingredient to building resilience are the relationships. Of course,
And I'm a community saying we want to be an active part of what's necessary. Resilience building, capacity building is really in everyone's interest, and everyone reaps the benefits when they do that.
Okay, so I love this video for a myriad of reasons. Number one, it's based upon a working paper that Harvard University puts together. And number two, is because I love research. But number two is because it really takes it to an outside and world view type of perspective. Resilience is built, yes, in the home, but resilience is also built in the community. Resilience is built with the adults around your children while they're at school, with their teachers, with their school counselors, and with their principals. And research has shown if a child has one supportive adult relationship, that they can make all the difference when they're faced with adversity, because they feel supported. They feel that they have someone to talk to. It may be you, it may be, an aunt and an uncle, it may be someone at school. If they're able to have that just one connection, maybe they're lucky enough to have a bunch, which is even better. But if they're able to just have that one close relationship and be like, hey, I'm really struggling right now, and have that conversation, it can make all the difference in the world. So in order to build resilience in adolescents, we must look at their connections. Who are they closest to? Do they have positive people in their life? How is your relationship with your child? Are you able to have an open conversation about really hard topics with them? Or if it's not you, do they have someone to have those hard conversations with? Or those scary conversations that they, may be scared to talk about? So this and a few other factors can help, create a resilient community within your child's scope, as well as a resilient community, all around you guys. So moving right along. Okay, so number one. So cultivating social connections. So in avoiding social isolation, this is the hardest thing that we've had to come up with, as mental health professionals. How can we help people to remain positive and get them to understand that this is temporary, as well as we don't want it to negatively affect your health, because you do feel isolated, and humans are made for human connections. So we're taking, through all this craziness of 2020, we've kind of not been able to do that. We've kind of lost it. So one of the best ways to build resilience is having positive peer relationships and supportive interaction with family, with the faculty and staff, can all contribute positively to the academic performance as well as the well-being of the child. So how do we do this? I love the idea of virtual movie nights. This is something that I've even done. It's just, there's on your paper as well, I put some apps on here. We'll go through them too. But I love the fact that there is FaceTime now, that there's Skype, that there's Zoom. You can play the movie at the same time in two different locations, and then, watch the movie and text or, talk to each other, as a part happens, because you're still sharing that experience, but you're sharing that experience in a virtual way. So you're still being safe, you're still being socially distant, but you do feel that you have that, that human connection that we all crave right now. Another one is socially distanced meetups. Those are great too. Get into a big park or, parking lot, 6 feet apart. Let's all hang out, talk, maybe if you can do a bonfire or something and one person goes up at a time, something like that where you are still being socially connected, but in a way that everybody stays safe. Practice random acts of kindness. This one is huge and goes such a long way. Kindness can reach miles. I love the idea of students writing to frontline workers saying thank you so much for doing your job so well and keeping us all safe, or buying coffee for another person, maybe sending your friend a virtual Starbucks card. Hey, just thinking about you. Here's some coffee for you. I know that really helps. Or sending, a card to your grandparents or family members that you can't see right now, which helps, feel that connectedness in a way that you're not necessarily in front of them, but you're doing something for them. So you are able to feel that connection there. There are also apps for the virtual movie nights that are on your handout. Some of them are called House Party, Netflix Party for Google Chrome. That one is an extension that you put on Google Chrome. You can actually chat while you're watching the movie together. I think it's super cute. And there is, what was that other one? Oh, I can't remember, but it's on your sheet. And moving on to that kind of rolls into self-awareness and self-care. Self-care has been a huge thing in the mental health world for a while now, but it's how you implement self-care, which can help you to avoid the burnout stage. So my biggest thing that anyone will tell you is the triple threat. So eat well, move your body, get enough sleep. Those three things right away will help, stave off any kind of burnout, any kind of, really high levels of negative stress, because you're feeding your body what it needs. Eating well looks like, vegetables. It looks like not eating a bunch of fast food, which I know getting teenagers to eat healthy can be pulling my hair out. But eating well like that, moving your body. And I always say, anytime that I have a student in here who is on the verge of just straight burnout, I'm like, hey, when was the last time you got outside? When was the last time you took a 10-minute walk? When was the last time you got sunshine on your bones? Those kinds of questions, because it's so important as our bodies function day to day, that we get replenished with enough sunlight, that we are, feeding our body the nutrients it needs to, to really just work as a well-oiled machine, because that's really what we have to pay attention to. So always take those things into account. And the last one is get enough sleep, which we're going to cover that one because that one deserves a category in its own. Sleep is so paramount, and the more research that comes out nowadays, the more that we're realizing that sleep is the key ingredient to a very healthy brain, a very healthy functioning system. So triple threat, remember those three. I love the idea of playing. Some people are like, oh, what do you mean? My kid's too old to play. No, but playing can look differently as an adolescent. Playing can be going outside, kicking a soccer ball around with them. Playing can look like I'm going to jump on here and play a video game, for 30 minutes or something like that. Those types of play are still considered play. And sometimes it's even building things. Like maybe you're in robotics and you're coding and you really love coding. So now you have a game that you can code. Those types of things are all play activities in which kids can really flourish under that. Another one on your sheet here is practice self-compassion. Huge. It's easy to give compassion to other people, but when you start talking about yourself, it can be a little hard. So out of habit, building up those self-compassion towards yourself. Cultivating opportunities for self-growth. I'm huge for this. School and your work is important, yes, but cultivate those things outside of that. What's another passion you have? What's another hobby that you have? Let's explore that. Let's go deeper into what you like to do. Because to be a well-rounded person sometimes, like school, and academics is so important. Work is so important. But there are also other facets to you, and there's other facets to our students. So finding out what those are and how we can cultivate those also helps to make them feel connected to their community, and makes them proud of who they are. Another one is make time for quiet reflection. I love this. So our world is so noisy. There's a lot of times that we get too overwhelmed through our phones, our notifications, our emails, our job, the stress and the climate of this country right now. All of that can be very noisy. So my favorite thing to do is just quiet. Just breathe. Just get a journal. Just write it out. Just listen to, a 5-minute meditation. listen to that classical music as you're working. Listen to, raindrops on YouTube or, whatever it is, because our world is so noisy. I think sometimes we forget to stop. I think sometimes we forget to hold on to that silence and knowing that it's okay to be quiet for those 5 to 10 minutes, because we're giving our brain that break that it so desperately needs, where it can process the information you're putting in. Because if we consistently put in and not take a minute to just during the day, then you get the insomnia if you don't do that. Then your mind starts racing at night because you didn't do that. Then your mind can't stop because you haven't given it a break from all the information input that you put in. So I'm 100% behind, the research for journaling, the meditation, for just pausing for a day and not feeling guilty about it, being like, I just need time right now, and I'm gonna go do that real quick. I'm gonna go take a break, but I'll be right back. So I'm so for that, because it really does help in how our brains work and function. It can be very, very helpful. Okay, the third one is attention and focus. So how many times have we not, maybe you've already lost attention and focus on me, but that's fine. I won't take it personally. So attention. Attention is really training your mental focus. It's not something that comes naturally for a lot of people, which is fine. It's not something that you can, but it is something that you can work on. So this is done through meditation, visualization, deep breathing, which is huge. Thought-stopping exercises are other techniques. These are all things that you can work on with your student, or you can get them into counseling they can work on with this to really strengthen these skills. Attention allows you to tune out information, sensations, and perceptions that are not relevant at the moment. So that means you may be sitting here, and whatever time it is, you may be thinking about, I'm hungry, I want some food. Oh, I really want that chicken. Oh, I have Chick-fil-A. Okay, I feel like I need to go get Chick-fil-A. I wonder how long she's going to talk for. Should I watch this whole thing? And then you go down this train of just completely lost. But teaching your student and, how to, I want chicken, but okay, put that in the back. Let me just finish what I'm doing right now. And really controlling that random thought that happens. And that takes practice, and that takes maturity, and that takes brain development. So, but getting in the habit now while their brains are still developing will add so much to when they're in college and that happens, would add so much to when they're adults and that happens, because it's become a habit, and then your brain forms a schema behind it, and it becomes this whole thing. So just get in the habit of, I know you might be distracted, but let's train our brains and let's refocus ourselves when we realize that's what's happening. Okay? So a benefit of undivided focus is the increased likelihood of achieving a flow state, characterized by a Hungarian psychologist who said, as a mental state in which a person performing an activity is fully immersed in a feeling of energized focus, full involvement, and enjoyment in the process of the activity. So really it's just learning how to be in the moment and enjoy being in the moment. I love the idea of unplugging. I know our lives are ruled by technology right now, if you're still working from home or if your student is e-learning, but unplugging from screens, I know this has been preached like left, right, up and down, all around by psychologists, because it's so important. It is so important for your brain to be able to unplug. So unplug, take a break. Again, if you need to start small, if your student needs to start small, 10 minutes a day, then 15, let's work up 10, an hour, maybe 2. If you really have a screen addiction, it can be very difficult. Choose 1 week to do an activity, and I mean be fully immersed in that activity. Throw your phone down, go outside, go play whatever it is, even for, adults to do that as well, but don't feel guilty about doing it. I've talked to so many people, and they'll be like, oh, I really love playing pool, or I love, going outside and kicking a soccer ball around, but I feel guilty that I'm not doing X, Y, and Z things. Don't feel guilty. You're doing that for your self-care. You're giving your full attention to something, and you are able to just focus on that one thing, and then you're practicing that mental focus. And then you're able to unplug easier because your brain is calmer, and you're able to, quiet the world down again. So don't overthink it. Just enjoy it. There's also other ones listed on your paper here. So you guys can look at those on your own. Number 4. So number 4, meaning. So we kind of touched on this, a little bit. Identify your purpose, examine your strengths and talents, develop skills you want, recognize your values, pursue your interests and passions, and live your own unique combination of all of those. That's a lot. I know it sounds like so much, but by identifying all of those things and helping your student to start that process, can help them to feel meaningful in this world, to feel like they can make an impact, to feel like they can make a difference, because they can. They are the future. They are the next generation coming up. It is so, so important for us to instill that in them and be like, hey, you're the next voice. You're the next voice that is going to make a difference. So how are we going to do that? What's something you're passionate about? What do you feel right now is something that you can do? And, they are going to be so grateful that someone sat down with them and talked with them about that and came up with ideas and made, a huge, what do they call, like a thought board, a vision board. They made a vision board. I love the idea of that. It helps them see, like, in 5 years, what am I going to do? So if you're able to have a conversation, do that. Embracing change. This is huge. Okay, so embracing change. Life comes at you fast, and you're already really, really aware of that. But embracing change allows us to kind of go with the ebb and flow of life, of things are not going to always stay the same, and how do I react to the changes that are going to occur? I always use an illustration, because we live by the beach, of waves. Waves come and go, and each one is different. So how are we going to adjust ourselves to that wave that's coming at us? I'm not worried about the one that left, not worried about the next one, but the current one is coming. So what do I need to do? If I don't want to get wet, I need to back up a little bit. If I do want to get wet, I'll, walk into the wave. But using that illustration of life changes, of how it's constant, and we're constantly having to adjust our steps, and we're going to have to constantly go in and out, helps us not only to be resilient, but it also, instills that I am in control. So it helps us to realize that I am in control of myself, I am in control of my behavior, I am in control of how I am reacting to the situation. I'm not in control of, someone else's reactions or, attitude about it, but I am in control of me. And sometimes that is very comforting. The next one is the growth mindset. So, first of all, this one has been preached to us as well. It was all last year what kind of the theme was for school counselors and to implement into our schools. I just want to say it right out the gate is leave the genius myth behind. So achievement requires hard work and not just natural talent. I know that a lot of the students here are so wonderfully, wonderfully gifted. But you can have all of that, but if you don't have the hard work behind it, now we got a problem. So you can be super, super smart, but you got to show up for work. You've got to show up every single day. So leaving that kind of myth behind and realizing I still need to show up. This is huge in cultivating a growth mindset in students. So prioritizing learning over approval. I want to learn this. I'm not doing this for someone's approval. I'm doing this for myself. I'm doing this to learn, to gain knowledge. And the process over the end result of, it's not just getting an A, it's a process of learning information, learning how to critically think, learning how to analyze information and how that is going to affect, the end result, but not making that my top priority, because my top priority is gaining that knowledge. Viewing challenges and setbacks as the opportunity to grow, to learn something new, huge as well. If there's been, instances where maybe your student has never struggled. Maybe they've been straight A's till they came to West Shore, and all of a sudden they're challenged. All of a sudden they don't know how to react to that challenge. That's a perfect opportunity to step in and be like, okay, this is the first one. This is the first challenge you've ever really, had to face, but you have the tools to do it, and I'm going to help you do it. And, walking through, this is how we're going to study for this. This is how much time a week we need to spend on this subject, or, whatever it is, or it's a soccer, or it's, something like that. Addressing that with a positive And with a we can overcome this, because you're going to have so many more challenges in your life, and how you react to this first one is going to shape how you see every other challenge in your life. So stopping, breathing, going through, reframing it into a positive thing can help the students to not only, get past that challenge, but then the next one, but afterwards they're going to feel proud about it. And the next one that comes up, they're going to know exactly what to do. So really, really recognizing that those challenges can be very, very positive for them. There's a couple more in your handout. The other one I really want to mention is trying new things and failing at them. I think this is huge. You have to try new things in life, especially as your student grows, and especially, as adults, we're probably always going to try new things, but not being afraid of that failure of them. I feel sometimes that people are too scared of that, or students are too scared of that, of, I don't know if I want to try out for that team. I might fail and not make it. Okay, but at least you tried, so it's getting to that point of, I tried. I'm proud of myself that I got out of my comfort zone. I'm proud of myself that I did my best even though I didn't make it. And getting to that point, because not everything in life, you may, or your student or myself even, may be good at, but I'm still going to try it, because in the end, that's going to help my resilience build, because I'm going to bounce back from that. I'm going to be better because of that. So that's another one I just like to touch on. Time management. So this one is so big too. I know I say that about a lot of them. I guess these are all important. Time management. These are some great tips that I, recommend a lot when I'm talking about time management. My number one thing is to plan your days at the beginning of the week. Spend at least a few minutes Sunday night or Monday morning, even, like as you're having your coffee, or, as your student is getting up to go to school, being like, okay, what's on your agenda for today? What do we have to do? Going through each day, really helps to, one, make everyone feel like they're more in control of their situation, which immediately offers calm and comfort. And then investing really into yourself and into your student of, this is what's going on, this is what we're going to do, and if you're kind of like me, I'm, I need multiple reminders. I need a Google Calendar notification. I need my Outlook calendar notification. I need to write it down on my calendar. I have a planner. One modality, it's going to be somewhere. I love the idea of apps. This is huge, because kids are so about their technology today. So if you look on your handout, I have a list of nice little apps they can use for time management. Most of these, some of them are tutoring stuff, like Duolingo if you're doing a foreign language, or Google Drive, which is great. I live, breathe my Google Drive. There's also things like the AP flashcards for studying. There's Quizlet has great stuff. Google Calendar notifications work amazing for your student to sit down, put everything they need to do, and have the notification come in. Hey, you have a history test next week. We need to study for 30 minutes every day this week. Those types of things help to organize, and again, calms that anxiety. So if you have a minute, just look through that list of apps there. So again, utilize paper or planner apps. So I actually am kind of old school in the fact that I use a planner. Here's mine. This was given to me. If you know Friends, that's what it's at. But this is a weekly planner, and I do use this. I put my days in there. I go through what I need to be doing. I have my checklist that I use there. And that helps me not only to stay organized, but for me to look ahead and be able to plan and utilize every minute of my day that I need to do. And I'm talking even not just productive things. I'm talking sometimes I am not doing anything but watching a movie for the next 2 hours, or I'm not, moving off the couch for the next couple hours because I'm tired. Scheduling that rest time, that quiet time, that peaceful time is so needed. So even scheduling all your productive stuff, but then where am I resting? Where am I working out? Where, what am I doing from this time? Really helps it to calm that anxiety. Also, breaking big tasks, number 3 here, into small manageable parts. So sometimes it looks like there's a mountain we have to climb, and sometimes for students that can be an AP test, that can be a huge paper, that can be, when they become seniors, that can be their senior project. But how do we look at that mountain and say, I can't get to the top, so what do I do? So the first thing is to break that into small manageable parts, SMART goals. You want to look at breaking it off, taking that first step. Okay, what do I do after that first step? Take another step. I put this picture on here for a reason, because it's the ultimate goal here was I need to get an A+ on my history test, so I need to make flashcards. I'm going to memorize 5 dates a day. I'm going to review chapters 5 through 7. I'm going to make a study guide. Then I'm going to pass the test. Because now that mountain of an A+ on this history test has been broken down enough that we can recognize, hey, these are the first steps I need to take, that I'm going to do this one after I get this one, and it makes it so much easier and manageable versus just having a textbook and saying, where do I start? What do I do? So breaking it down into those smaller things it's really, really, really helpful. Okay, so I wanted to touch on this as well. If you look on your handout, I do have some more tips and tricks for your time management skills. So if you want to look at that. But I also wanted to touch on certain things that have kind of been circulated around social media, as well as, the news, some statistics, and maybe some hard conversations that could be beneficial to have with your student, or, just mentioning it, bringing it up. It's when to worry about your adolescent versus what is average adolescent behavior. I'm going to touch on 5 things, and then I promise we might be done. Okay, so there are 5 main facets to consider when deciding what is and what isn't average teenage behaviors. The first one, and I told you we touch on this again, sleep. So the average adolescent actually needs 8 to 10 plus hours of sleep per night. This is so important. Sleep, as for an adolescent, is their brains are undergoing so many changes that they need, a lot of sleep per night. This helps with their brain development. It helps with their brain organizing itself. It helps with their brain taking information it learned, that day and placing it in the right places it needs to go so they can retrieve it later. I have broken this down into normal and worrisome. So the normal kind of teenage behavior is your child's going to stay up late. They're going to tell you, I'm not tired, and it's like 11 o'clock. No, you're tired. So they're going to stay up late, and they're going to sleep in late. So maybe you have a preteen or teenager that, stays up to 2 o'clock in the morning on Friday night and then sleeps till noon the next day or later. That's kind of normal, and I know that seems weird to say, but it is. Scientists and, researchers have, kind of calculated this as being normal teenage behaviors. So if your teen does that, please don't worry. They're just being teenagers. Worrisome. So maybe they do that and that's fine, but maybe you start noticing they're isolating themselves more so, than they already are because of the pandemic. But maybe you notice that they're not texting with friends or they're not Skyping anybody. That's normal behavior for them. Maybe they're not talking about their friends anymore. Maybe they're staying in their room more. Maybe they're sleeping all the time. So maybe they're doing the 2 a.m. Friday go to sleep time, but then they're not getting out of their bed at all on Saturday. Maybe they're not showering. Maybe their hygiene is going down. Repeatedly failing to get up for school. Maybe they have 5 alarms that go off and they still don't get up for school. Maybe they have insomnia where they just cannot sleep for anything. Or maybe they're sleeping more than 11 hours a night. That could all indicate possible symptoms of something going on. It could be physical, it could be mental health, which are very much connected. So if something physically is going on, then it can definitely affect the mental health. But anything like that would be very concerning regarding kind of a sleep hygiene routine. So when I say sleep hygiene, maybe that's a phrase you haven't heard often. That just means it's a skill kind of at 8 p.m. I'm going to put my pajamas on, then I'm going to brush my teeth around 9, then I'm going to kind of wind down from 9:30 to 10:30, and then I'm going to go to sleep around 10:30. So sleep hygiene is just your routine, like, or maybe they shower before they go to sleep, whatever it is. But if anything gets really disrupted consistently and you start seeing these major warning signs, that's probably something to bring up with their doctor. Moodiness and irritability. Teenagers aren't moody, all right? It is perfectly normal for your teenager to be moody, for your preteen to be moody. They're going to be frustrated from time to time. Their brain is undergoing so many changes, just as when they were a toddler. So when you have the terrible twos and they're throwing themselves on the ground and they're kicking and screaming and crying, well, now they can do that with words. So be patient. I know it's hard. I know it's so rough. But just being patient, being cognizant that, they are going through some things, correcting them in the language that they use towards you, but also knowing that this is not forever. They're going to get through this period. So just having patience, helping them identify what their frustration is, helping them use those words. I feel mad. I feel frustrated. Helps them to identify what they're going through versus just letting them sit in kind of that gross feeling and not knowing, what it is or how to handle it. So being supportive during those big emotions that they'll have, not being afraid to correct them when they're just way over the line, and recognizing that you're doing that out of love for them, that you can't act this way in my house. Those are all perfectly normal things to do. So a normal thing would be frustrations, irritability, and being moody from time to time. Just, I don't want to go there, or I don't want to, those lovely, lovely moods. So worrisome, these types of things would be constant mood escalations and pitfalls, consistently not handling normal situations well, responding to violence or responding with violence. These are things that would look like they're angry, so they're going to, punch a wall. They're going to punch a door. They're going to kick furniture. Anything like that would be kind of borderline of really inappropriate and kind of worrisome. Flying off the handle at the littlest thing, getting very angry over something that is really small and minuscule, and, throwing things or, just having a really big temper. Isolation, again, is a big one for teenagers. Just being wary of that. Drastic changes in personality. They are going to be going under personality changes, but I'm talking about drastic personality changes. Like maybe you had a child who was really, really bubbly and everything, and now they're 13 and they are just completely different person, and you can never have a rational conversation with them. You can never, hold them accountable for anything because they're going to respond with violence. That would be something that would be worrisome. Okay. Also, psychosomatic symptoms. If you have a student who has a lot of headaches, a lot of stomach aches, their appetite has changed, they are not able to really describe what they're feeling, they just feel sick. These are all what we call psychosomatic symptoms. That is a red flag, especially as a mental health professional, that if you are having these things, if you're getting sick a lot, these are things that are kind of red flags of there's maybe something going on and, in your mental health that needs to be addressed. Maybe you are feeling very anxious. That's why you get headaches and stomach aches, because you have all that adrenaline and your body is kind of like fight or flight or freeze all the time. So just be wary of what that looks like. If they have a headache, well, honey, you've had a headache for 5 days now. Like, what's really going on? And, or my stomach hurts every time I go to school, or they're waking up in the morning throwing up before they come to school. That's another one that that something else needs to be addressed with that. Okay. I love this picture. I feel like that's how we all feel with e-learning, maybe. Just, I'm trying my best. So it's normal for kids to worry about their grades, especially at West Shore. Every student here pretty much goes to a great college. So it's normal to worry, be competitive, want your GPA to be the best. Normal behavior. So feeling that, again, that stress, that ooze stress, kind of that like, good stress that has positive effects. And having a bit of anxiety is normal. We're made with having a little bit of anxiety. That keeps us alert, that keeps us alive, that keeps us doing a great job, and also acts as a driving force for us to do well. So having a little bit of anxiety is okay, because that will, help them to do well in the tests or their SATs or something like that. It becomes worrisome when the child starts to become withdrawn. That can very much look like they don't care about anything. I know students will say that, that's fine, but I'm talking like severely withdrawn from their studies. It's hard to get them out of the bed. They look at the paper, don't remember anything, any kind of that behavior. Avoidance of any type of schoolwork. This would be, hey, we have homework to do. Usually they're fine. They sit down, don't do it. Can't do it. Don't want to do it. There's tears. That's, a huge thing. That'd be kind of worrisome if they're just completely avoiding doing any schoolwork, and in the classroom as well. If they're not turning in their work, if they're blatantly failing a bunch of classes because they're not doing what they need to be doing, that is a sign that, let's look at this closer. A hard time sleeping again, obsessive behaviors. I put it has to be perfect, because that, if they're obsessed with that perfection, a little bit of that is okay, but when it becomes like their everyday life that they are becoming more and more obsessed with, this idea of perfection, that could be something that needs to be addressed. Unable to regulate their emotions at school is another one. Maybe they're crying all the time, flying off the handle, being angry, having panic attacks a lot. All of those types of behaviors need to be addressed as well. And again, missing a large number of assignments, or just completely have lost their will to even do any kind of any kind of work for that. It's a fun one. I told you guys we're going to be talking about some fun stuff. So it's normal. I know it's like, how is this normal? But it is normal for teenagers to rebel, especially as they get older, especially as they are getting towards graduation. They're going to push your limits. Maybe your preteen's already doing that, and that's normal too. So they're going to push your limits and push your boundaries. Again, they're becoming themselves. Again, they're trying to realize, what is the boundary? What can I push mom and dad to do? Well, can I control more of this? They're going to push that. And the one thing I can say is, you've set boundaries in your home for a reason. We've set boundaries at school for a reason. Kids will push against that. And your job and my job is to stand strong against that boundary. This is the boundary line, and I'm sorry, you're not going to cross it. And that can be huge, because they might become defensive, they might become upset, but they'll get over it. And they'll realize boundaries are there to make me feel safe. Boundaries are there to protect me. Boundaries are there to organize my life. So really holding fast and strong to those, as weary as you may get, I promise it will pay off in the end. So, normal things look like going outside of the normal, pushing back against household rules, periodically getting in trouble at school. That's kind of normal too. Questioning the rules in the house or questioning your authority. Those can all pretty much be normal teenage behaviors. It becomes worrisome when it's extreme. So again, talking about the extremes here, consistently getting in trouble at school, getting, ISS or something, breaking laws, responding with violence again, an interest and participation in illegal activities and activities that affect their future. So again, that worrisome of, these are extreme cases of when I would be really worried about, the future. So this is something that I cannot avoid talking about. Alcohol use and experimentations. So teenagers are most likely to be exposed to alcohol and substances such as marijuana well before their legal age of consumption. This is, something that you as parents don't want to think about, because again, they're all starting in their conscious state. They're not going to be in control. They're, doing all these things. They're not having parental supervision. But we cannot turn a blind eye to it, because the minute we do, or we act like something isn't happening, is when we're totally caught off guard. So we have to be aware of this. We have to be cognizant of it, and we have to talk about it. you don't talk about something, it's never a good thing. So a normal thing would be like questioning what this is. Maybe, in your home, you guys don't drink, or maybe there's no alcohol, but still talking about, Mom, what's alcohol? Dad, what's alcohol? What does it do to you? And having an open conversation with them, or even bringing it up of, what it does, why, maybe you don't particularly partake in it, or if you do, how responsible you are when you do partake in it, and shedding that light on them as well of, I'm able to have, I am of legal age. I, can monitor my own intake, and this is how I do that, and sharing with them those experiences, because then they're going to know, got it. All right, this is a healthy, got it. Okay, this is how to healthily monitor myself. Worrisome would be constant use of alcohol or substances, using substances as a means to self-medicate for anxiety or depression. Huge. They go to a party, they're feeling anxious about a test, someone has marijuana, they smoke it, then they want to consistently smoke it because they're calm. Well, now you're self-medicating. So now we need to talk about that, and that's going to be a problem. Not being able to stop, they formed an addiction, lying about it, consistent mistrust that you have for them because they're lying about their substance use, or becoming defensive when they talk about it. All of these things are the extreme cases to be worrisome about alcohol use and substance use. So just having those conversations, again, if it's not you, having someone that your child can go to, they can really maybe they're just curious about it, and curiosity is fine as long as they're led with a responsible answer and a supportive adult for when they're in those situations, that they can be like, oh wait, I already talked about this. I know how to react to this situation. I know what I need to say here. And it's not just saying, it is saying no, but also having the means to feel strongly about that as well, to know that they can call you when they're in those situations and say, hey, Mom or Dad or aunt or uncle or grandma, or grandpa, like, hey, can you pick me up? Because I'm in this situation and I need you right now. So again, open communication goes way, way far. So just keep that in mind. I wanted to share the last thing to kind of go over with you guys, some statistics here about mental health. So this is just a graph that was, I think, from 2019 about the instances of kind of depression, anxiety, and behavior disorders. These are the ages down at the bottom. So as you can see, for the depression one, it kind of spikes between ages 12 to 17. This is the age that they're going into middle school and high school, so it does spike. It hasn't, excuse me. So 1 in 6 U.S. children will have had a diagnosed mental behavioral development disorder. That's kind of a big statistic to be aware of. And when we're talking about anxiety, if you notice, that can even happen as young as 6, as young as 5 in some instances. I'm talking about dysfunctional anxiety because remember, we all have a little bit of anxiety, but when it becomes a dysfunction, that's what this graph is referring to. And if you look here, anxiety really spikes between ages of 12 and 17. So just be wary of that, having those conversations with your student of, hey, are you feeling nervous today? Oh, that's fine, but here's what we can do about it. And having those open communication lines again. And then the last one is behavior disorders. That's something like ADHD or something like that, that really spikes between 6 and 11, and it actually kind of starts going down as the brain develops and the frontal lobe develops. It'll kind of, even out or go down as they get older. So I just thought this was really interesting to share with you guys, just to be for your own, knowledge as well. I love this. So I got this off of the NAMI website, which is the National Alliance on Mental Illness. These are the common warning signs. We've talked about these a little bit today, but this kind of puts it in a fun little infographic here. So again, it's feeling very sad or withdrawn for more than 2 weeks, trying to harm or injure someone's life, severe out of control risk-taking behavior that causes self-harm or harm to others, significant weight loss or gain, sudden overwhelming fear or for no reason, seeing, hearing, or believing things that aren't there, not real, excessive use of alcohol or drugs, drastic changes in mood, behavior, personality, or sleeping habits, extreme difficulty concentrating or staying still, and intense worries or fears that get in the way of daily activities. So these things are the, again, warning signs of a mental illness in an adolescent and even an adult. So if you start seeing anything that's really like this is when I would step in, and be like, honey, we're gonna get you, a counselor. We're gonna at least take you to the doctor because I'm really concerned and I love you and I want to try to support you, even though you're having a hard time right now. And getting them that help and talking about it, talking goes so far. So 50%, if you notice here, I want to highlight this, of all lifetime mental illnesses begin by age 14. So that's huge because at 14, if I can remember when I was 14, I didn't even know, no one talked to me about mental health a lot. So by 14, recognizing, being like, oh, wow, like something's really going on, that could be part of the 50%, because that's a really big number. That's half of all 14-year-olds. Half of all the mental illnesses will begin by that age. So it's pretty huge. Knowledge is power. Learning more about mental illness. If anybody has any kind of questions or concerns after this, feel free to shoot me an email, set up a Zoom link. I would love to talk to you more about it. If you have questions about, your teenager, or your preteen, if this is, I really want to go more in depth, please don't hesitate to reach out. I will be happy to talk to you, schedule a meeting time that we can sit down and kind of like flesh things out a little bit more, as this is just a general overview of all of this information. And also just checking out the NAMI website. They have tons of great stuff on there just for psychoeducational purposes. The ripple effect, this is also another infographic that I took from them. How people can ripple out. So if we look here at like person level, so people with serious mental illness have an increased risk for chronic disease like diabetes or cancer. 19% of U.S. adults with mental illness also have a substance use disorder, and rates of cardiometabolic disease are twice as high in adults with serious mental illness. So this is kind of the effect that a mental illness can have. Again, this is just for your information and for your knowledge base of how important this can be, because it starts with a person, it ends with a family, and it can go out to the community and then the world as well. So really just if we're able to identify what is a mental illness in a young person, we're able to stave off kind of these ripple effects into, our community and even our world that we live in today. So just for your information, again, I also got this off of the NAMI website. So anything like this that you have other questions or concerns about, or, you just kind of want a little bit more than this presentation, please feel free to reach out. That's all I'm going to cover for today. So I will put up my references here. All of my references were from, reputable sources. So if you want any of those links, there they are. Feel free to write them down or to go to them yourself and have fun learning, because, it is very important that we know what mental health is and know how serious it can be, and to have that knowledge when we're talking to students and talking to other people about it. So again, if you guys have any questions, just reach out and I will be happy to speak with you. So I hope you all have a great day. Until next time.